the light. It's in our very DNA. It's part of our heritage, whether we are conscious of this or not. In fact, it's part of our very name as humans. Hu meaning light, man meaning being, human being light beings. So it is our divine heritage to be warriors of the light. And the first step in order to make this a reality is to accept this divine heritage that each of us is a part of. Not only are we children of God, sons, daughters, mothers, fathers of God, we are co-creators with God. We literally can change the environment around us through our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. And to be a warrior of light means that you are conscious of your thoughts, words, and deeds so that you are changing the environment around you with purpose and with intent. Being a warrior of the light is a choice. It's a recognition that, as one of the Indian proverbs goes, you can either feed the bad wolf inside of you or you can feed the positive wolf inside of you. And this is a choice that all of us must make in this lifetime. It is a choice to be positive, be loving, be compassionate, be forgiving, and to distance yourself from negativity and dark forces, things that bind us to the past, so that we can let God's energy flow within us and without us and be true expressions of light. We want to be that example going up the mountain in the darkness, that light that people can follow up the mountain, guiding them up to achieve enlightenment. Now, this path of being a warrior of light is not an easy path, and it certainly takes time, discipline, and commitment. But really, this is no different than any other, if you want to call it a job or a purpose or a goal in your life. In order to achieve some purpose that you have, some goal, to be the best at your job, you must dedicate time and energy, and you must put effort into it. If you're not a runner, you don't wake up one day and decide you're going to run a marathon. You have to dedicate yourself to the exercise and the stretching and building slowly up from whether it's a half a mile to a mile to 2 miles, and slowly building up until you can run that marathon. Same thing whether it's being a musician or a professional athlete or a doctor. You don't just become this overnight. You must put in the time, you must put in the effort, and you must put in the dedication. You can see this through examples of some of the great masters who have shown us the way in terms of how to be warriors of light. So for instance, take the Christ. We know a lot about Christ's early life, and in fact just in a few days we'll be celebrating his birth. And up through the first several years of his life, there is information that's contained in the Bible about it. We also know a lot about the last several years of his life, the last 3 years or so. But that middle period, we don't know much. It's not contained in the Bible. Other groups, such as the Rosicrucians, do have books on what was happening during this period of Christ's life, the lost years, if you will. And it was during this time that Christ was dedicating himself to being a warrior of the light. He was studying in Egypt and various other places from the great masters, meditating, getting all the information that he could from different mystic traditions so that he could go out into the world, into his public service, which again was about the last 3 years of his life, to make a difference, to be a change for better, to be a change for good, and to show humanity this is what you need to do as a warrior of light to reach enlightenment and to get off this cycle of rebirth. And it's not just the Christ. There are stories of the Buddha, who, as many of you know, grew up in a very wealthy family. His parents secluded him from the outside world, which in their mind was an effort to protect him, but the Buddha left his secluded temple and went out into the world and meditated over years until finally he too reached enlightenment. And there are various other examples of this in the different mystic traditions. So, being a warrior of the light is our divine heritage. It's in our DNA. To be a warrior of light is a choice. And to be a warrior of light takes dedication and time and effort. And there are 3 things that I want to focus on in terms of the time and effort, which will help you express yourself as a being of light. And these 3 items are thought, word, and deed. So let's start with thought. There is a passage in the Bible, and I'll paraphrase it here. It states that nothing in the outside which comes to you can defile you. It is only that which comes from within to the outside world that defiles. So what does this mean? This passage in the Bible is really an effort to teach people that everything comes from within. And if you are pure within, then that purity will come from within you and be expressed to the outside world. And nothing in this outside world, no matter what it is, can defile that purity within you. Now take a moment and evaluate the quality of your thoughts, your thought forms. Are you coming from a place of purity in your thought? Or is your mind filled with negative thoughts? Thoughts of limitation, thoughts of obstacles in your lives, thoughts of negativity, thoughts of darkness, thoughts of being the victim, woe me, my life is so hard, so bad. And if you are coming from that particular place of negativity and dark thoughts, then the next step is to ask yourself why. Why is that the case? Nobody can control our thoughts. When people's thought forms are controlled, that is because they're allowing it to happen. You have the choice of the quality of your thoughts. You can choose to have loving thoughts, to have thoughts of compassion, to have thoughts of joy, to have thoughts of wisdom, to have positive thoughts. Nobody can take that power away from you, no matter what they do to you. And if you want to achieve your divine heritage as a warrior of light, then you must pay attention to your thought forms, and you must ensure that your thought forms are uplifting, not only for yourself, but for every person and for everything around you. This is how you demonstrate the light. So in addition to thought, we have the word, the spoken word. I cannot overemphasize how powerful the spoken word is. I've said in past homilies that scientists talk about the Big Bang and how with the Big Bang, this was the start of all creation. There was this point called the singularity that physicists refer to. And from this singularity, this point, this infinitesimally small point, there was sound. And from that sound, this point expanded out, and created everything that we see around us. Mystics talk about the same thing. The Bible talks about the Word of God, the Upanishads. Really, most scriptures talk about how sound creates. And even if you wanted to leave aside what the different scriptures have to say about sound, we know, scientists know, that words we say impact people. They can impact people negatively, or they can impact people in a positive fashion. Teachers of children may know this better than anyone. Parents, what you say to a child affects the child. So, with this knowledge of the power of speech, we must take responsibility during every moment of every day for what we say. Do we want to say things that empower people and are a source for change? You can look at speeches from Martin Luther King or John F. Kennedy, Dalai Lama. There's innumerable people that you can actually go to on YouTube and listen to their speech, and it will move you in a positive fashion. This is what we should all be aspiring to. Why would we want to say something to somebody that limits them or puts obstacles in front of them? This is what the mystics are saying when you do not want to create a storm within somebody else. And you can create that storm within somebody else through your speech. Criticizing them without it being a constructive criticism. So criticism for criticism's sake, talking down to them, making them feel less than as opposed to greater than. Each of us has the opportunity in a day, obviously excluding monks and other people who have secluded themselves and are not speaking, but those of us who do speak and are out in the public, we have an opportunity each and every day, every time we speak, to make a positive influence, to bring love into the world, to bring compassion into the world, to bring forgiveness into the world, to uplift people, places, and things. So we've talked about thought form, we've talked about speech and how these are all integral parts of being a warrior of the light. And the next one is our actions or our deeds. As you know, many scriptures talk about the golden rule. This is the rule that you need to follow as a warrior of light in terms of your actions. So the golden rule is whatever you do unto others is what you would have them do unto you. This is something easy to say and very difficult to put into practice. Honestly, a lot of us do things, act without thinking. We haven't taken a step back or a pause to assess and evaluate how our action is going to affect the environment around us. People who are negative, who are down, you can be in a room and you could be having a great time with a couple of people, talking, maybe watching a movie, whatever it is, eating a meal together. And if a person who's in a bad mood and is really negative, they enter into that space, their energy affects that space. How they act and what they do in that space affects that space. This is the power of our actions. And it's not to act to get praise from it, to get recognition from it, to be famous from it. It's to act out of love, out of a realization that we are united with every single person that lives in this world. They are literally us, and we are literally them. We all come from the same source. We will all return to the same source. It comes out of a recognition of this unity. It comes out of a source of love. Loving others as you love yourself. Not just others, but the environment, plants, animals, structures. In reality, there is no separation between us and anything else. I know that with our eyes, it appears as if I am different from the chair that I'm standing in front of, that it's a separate object. But as you go from the macro and down microscopically, things lose their solidity. And by that I mean the atoms, everything is moving. And there is space between the electrons and the protons and the neutrons. And as everything is moving, we're all moving, even though we appear solid, and there is really no gap or separation between anything. We are all one. Thinking of it in a different way, I talked about the singularity a short time ago, but from that point, all matter, everything in this universe came from that point. Everything was at one time in that singularity. All matter, all light, all energy, everything. That's what I mean when we came from the same source. We are all of the same. So our actions as warriors of light is the recognition of this. It is acting out of love, acting out of compassion, acting out of forgiveness, acting out of joy. Like your thoughts, which you must take responsibility for having, like your words, which you must take responsibility for giving, your actions are the same thing. It is your choice how to act. Nobody can force you to act one way or another. A warrior of light means that you are making a conscious decision to act at all times to the best of your ability, out of compassion, out of love, out of joy, to again uplift not only yourself but the environment around you. And what better time to do this, to take this responsibility to recognize your divine heritage as a warrior of light. We're coming up to the birth of Christ in a few days, and we're coming up to the new year. We can all make the conscious decision right now that yes, we recognize we are co-creators. Yes, we want to be warriors of light. Yes, I take responsibility for my thoughts, words, and deeds. This is what I wanted to share with everybody today. Thank you so much again for joining us. I wish you and yours a happy holiday season, a safe holiday season, and I look forward to working with all of you as warriors of light. And now we'll have a deep level meditation.